Hello everyone. This is my first session on the WAT section for XAT aspirants, and here I will attempt to clear the basics of approaching a WAT question. If you have further queries, I have mentioned my contact details over there. Please feel free to contact me. I'm not going to cover specific questions or topics in this particular video, but I will just tell you the framework on which you should focus in order to prepare a good WAT article or a passage. So let's get to it. So now, obviously, we all know what is WAT. It is written ability test, and let's be honest, what we should be aware of one particular thing about WAT, that is what is being tested over there. Many people think that in WAT you are supposed to write fancy, you're supposed to write with heavy, huge vocabulary in order to make an impression. Contrary to that, you'd find that a passage, an essay written with clarity, a well thought and a well structured way will always score more over something which has got a heavy vocabulary. So if you look at here, what they actually test is your thinking, how well you think, how well you are able to structure that particular paragraph. How well you think means how much are you aware of the things that is going on in that topic or related topics, or are you able to make connection between two different topics or which are related to it. Okay, now the second one is the structure. Is the essay well structured or not? Then, does this essay call clarity? Is it clear when you read one paragraph and you move on to the next paragraph? Is it clear what is going on or not? Or is it quite messy? Is the first paragraph describing something else and the second paragraph describing something else entirely different? So that has to be taken care of. And obviously, logic would matter a lot. It has to have a logical sequence of things happening. Means you just cannot move on and write about one thing in one paragraph and move on to an entirely different segment which might be related to this topic and then start discussing it. And it has to have some link between the two, right? So logic has to be something that must be taken care of while you are appearing for WATs. And please be aware that vocabulary decoration is not something that is being marked for or is being looked at. If you have a good vocabulary, very good, you are doing really good, but you should not be forcing yourself to introduce vocabulary in your WAT. Just make it clear, just make sure that people who read your WAT are able to understand what you are trying to say. Now, how does WAT matter? As you could see, the presentation that I've made is, and that after WAT we have a PI and then we move on to final selection. Okay, WAT has a very important role because it gives them a pretty good idea how well you are thinking, how balanced your thoughts are, what are your thoughts on particular topic, is it biased, is it balanced, everything. Okay, now it impacts your interview impression, of course. When they would be doing your interview, they will be definitely talking about your WAT, your opinion that you have expressed in WAT. Communication rating, how well do you put through your ideas, both orally and your writing, that will be there. And after that, it will definitely help you with scoring higher in your profile. Now, what are the types of topic that WAT covers? Current affairs, which is quite obvious, something that is happening recently will have more weightage People would expect you to know a lot about those things, and they would expect you to express your opinion on those topics. So current affairs, definitely. Then social issues, something that has always existed, like women empowerment, something based on religion, something based on inequality. So yes, if those things have been most of the time been discussed, so there is a chance that it will again get discussed. Now, business economy, it is something that is expected from a person who is trying to pursue a business management program, to have some basic idea about what is going on around in the business world and how economy is being affected. And sometimes abstract topics, like the one that I find funny but quite impactful is, they will put a dot and they'll ask you to write about a dot. Or there was a topic, pink pajama on red fort. Quite powerful if you can interpret it. But then, yes, sometimes these kind of abstract topics can also be a part of your WAT. Now, what are these people looking for? As I already have said, they will be looking at how relevant your topic is and how relevant your information is to the topic, and are you able to clearly put those information? Are you structuring them properly? Structure matters. You have to understand how the WAT needs to be structured. Okay, now again, balance is something that you will have to present your topic in, so that people understand that you have equally gauged both the sides of the topic, the good side, the bad side, and then you have a balanced opinion of it. And then we have original thinking. Now that is a challenge for many of the students who had previously attempted WAT. They would write down something that they had read somewhere, or they feel that that is appropriate. Instead of thinking about the topic deeply or having some basic knowledge about the topic, they would infer or copy or quote something from somewhere. It's all right, but then if you're quoting something, it should be used as a quote. If you are writing something from somebody, it should be mentioned accordingly. But the entire thought, the entire process, the entire writing should be of yours. It should be your own thought, your own ideas expressed on your own piece of paper. Now, what blunders people do? I have when I was trying to make this particular slide, I thought of writing down common mistakes, but instead I wrote common blunders. Why? Because these are actual blunders. So the first thing is memorizing an essay. Most of the people do this. They will memorize something. They'll think, okay, I have read this, so this topic that has come, I can add some information from there. That wouldn't fit into the structure that you're intending to make. Most of the time that happens. Extreme opinion, that means you get biased. You talk about one side of it, but then you forget to talk about the other side of it, because you find that one side is something that you relate to, the other side maybe not so much. Long introductions are one of the biggest challenge that people have. Is they would keep on introducing their topic rather than discussing the topic in the WAT. So they will keep on introducing. So they'll as they say, they will build. They say that I'm trying to build up the topic. It's not required. You don't need to be building up on topic. Just simply, you know the topic, you have some information on it, just write it down, move ahead, discuss the topic, get to the part where you make a balanced statement, go into a conclusion, and then conclude. Conclusion, sometimes one of the most common excuse that I hear is that I didn't have time to conclude. No, that is not an excuse. You were given enough time to write down. You were given enough time to express your opinion, and then you are also given time to conclude. So the time that is given to you, that should include conclusion. So you cannot say that I didn't have time to conclude. Yes, you have to conclude. is just like having a long discussion with someone and then suddenly going away from each other without understanding. So what was the point of the discussion? So yes, conclusion is really important. Now, what is the structure over here? What we understand is that first introduction, then there has to be a body, and then the conclusion. Here, how to introduce, is we would introduce with max 2 to 3 line. We'll just try and introduce the topic as if the way we understand, not as if exactly the way we understand. We understand this to be such, so I'll just say this is that in my introduction. Set a context, in set a pace that what you are going to discuss next. How do you understand it? Are you like favoring a part, or do you have idea about the topic, or are you going to discuss only one particular section of the topic? All those things. Then we have body. Of course, it has to be more than 6 to 7 line. So now one question that might pop up in your head is like, why introduction should be 2 to 3 lines and body 6 to 7 line? Why not more? I can write more. Of course you can write more, but the time that is given to you is 15 to 20 minutes. In 15 to 20 minutes you have to make an impact, and this is the standard amount of text that you can put in without going on and on or making a mistake or committing errors. Okay, because here you'll have enough time to think, enough time to structure, and enough time to put forward your ideas. So body is with 6 to 7 inches 6 to 7 lines with 1.1, at least there should be 1 point for and 1 point against, and there should be example. Now, why at least 1 point for, 1 point against? There could be topics with more than 1 point which are favoring the topic. There could be more than 1 point which are against the topic. I do agree to that, but at least there should be 1 point from each so that you can exemplify them, and while concluding you'll have a better clarity. So at least 1 point in favor of the topic, 1 point criticizing, discussing, or against the topic, and at least example for each, one example in favor and one example against. Now, when you conclude, you don't have to write on and on again. You don't have to give thanks to anybody. Simply conclude in 2 lines, give your balanced view, and what is it that you think will be the future course of action, right? So give your balanced view and just say something that would suggest this could be the future course of action of the topic that you have discussed right now. Okay. Now, this is the message I would like you to take from this particular video, is that clarity beats fancy English. You don't have to write fancy English. You just have to write clear, simply. And my final thing, or my final advice to you, is WAT is about thinking better. It's not about writing more. Simply saying this, I'd like to conclude the session that WAT is about thinking better and not about writing more. I hope this video helped you to have some idea about how to start writing about WAT. In future videos, I would like to bring in some templates, and I will like to discuss a few of the topics. Thank you.